And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Storytime with Mikey. I do believe this is episode number 26, and it's been a while. But for it being October, spooky season, I thought I'd do a special Halloween themed or styled episode of this video series, where I talk about how I used to be a scaredy cat when I was a young child, not uncommon. When it came to horror and Halloween and all types of stuff. I used to be a very easy to frighten child. Every Halloween, I only liked it for the candy and to watch my favorite cartoon shows on Cartoon Network and Disney Channel and Nickelodeon during the Halloween themed episodes to celebrate the Halloween season. But there were also all the times where people were wearing the costumes and the mask and the fake blood, and it was terrifying and horrifying and scary and petrifying and traumatizing and everything else. Most notably, my aunt. I have an aunt who, when I was 7 years old, I believe I was, tried her damnedest to frighten me, and she would quite easily with a mask like this. This poor fellow seen better days. But she used to own one of the ghost face masks, and she would use it and hold it to her face and frighten me as a young child. Some might call that very traumatizing to a child, and in many cases it could be. I know I remember myself quite vividly cowering under the living room table as best as I could, screaming and crying, and my face about as red as the words on that poster. Now, Mr. Ghosty Face, away with you. Your work here is done. But I also used to be afraid of Michael Myers as well. I used to, when I was about 9 years old, I got to that part of my life where children like to secretly and sneakily watch horror movies. And I would catch bits and pieces of the Halloween films when they would air on AMC during what used to be called their Fright Fest. Is it still called Fright Fest? I don't know. But it was like every Friday, I think it was, they would have like a Halloween movie during October. And at one point, I thought they were all just one movie. I thought every single film was all just one really long movie because I only saw bits and pieces, and I didn't know they were separate films containing different stories and everything else. But I used to have nightmares about Michael Myers. Every night I'd go to bed, and I'd have dreams where there's this guy wearing a blue coveralls and a white mask, and he's just off in the background, and he's staring at you. Or I had dreams where if someone said his name, he would appear just like that. Very weird dreams. But clearly now, not afraid of Michael. Have his masks in the back, and I also have this, which is now one of my favorite things in the whole wide world to own. Thank you, James Jude Courtney. Very lovely man at Horror Hound Convention. You are wonderful. And I also, harkening back to Ghostface in the Scream franchise, I don't recall actually ever watching the Scream movies in any capacity, even little bits and pieces, when I was a kid. Only the Halloween movies. And Jeepers Creepers, of course, but we're not going to talk about Jeepers Creepers because of ugh. But I used to have dreams about me sitting in a movie theater all by myself, being stalked and hunted down by a killer wearing the ghost face mask, and I had never seen the Scream movies before that point, before I started having those dreams. And oddly enough, Scream 2, the opening kills take place in a movie theater with Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith being the opening victims. I don't know how that happened, or why it happened, why I was having dreams about being hunted down by Ghostface in an abandoned movie theater without having seen any of the films, and the fact that the opening of the second film takes place in a movie theater. Only difference is that theater is not abandoned; it's bustling full of people. The murder happened in front of the whole audience for the people watching the Stab movie. And more now that I'm older, it's more funny. I used to be afraid of my uncle's Halloween costume. Every year, we used to put up a big tent in the front yard and had a big fog machine and little lanterns and stuff, and we have a little haunted house in the front yard for the trick-or-treaters. And my uncle Larry, he owned a gorilla costume. I think he still does, but he owned one of those gorilla costumes. And I was petrified of that costume, and it wasn't even a scary costume. It was just an average gorilla costume. It looked like a gorilla, and it terrified the fuck out of me. I was afraid of it. It may have been the eyes, because the eyes had LEDs that light lit up red, and it may have been the eyes. I don't know, but I hated whenever he came over with that costume. I hated it to death. But then I got older, and I went to his second wedding at his hometown in Florida, and I seen he still had the costume at that time, and I was starting up doing funny videos on his channel, and I wanted to do something funny with it. So I had him get it out and do a little quick little video with me with it, and it was a video where we used the Benny Hill theme, and I sped it up a little bit, and it was like the gorilla hunting me down, and me trying my best to hide and failing and whatnot, and here and there. It was this video. And his huskies didn't like seeing the costume either, so at least I wasn't the only one with the brain of a child that was afraid of it. But we got all this in one take, so that was fantastic. It didn't take that long to do this, and it was funny. It was a fun time, great time. Feel bad for him though, because he had to wear the big heavy costume, and it was like 85 degrees at that point. 85 degrees in the evening in Orlando, Florida, in the middle of August, and he was wearing that big heavy furry costume, and it was I felt bad for him, but he was happy to do it, willing to do it, and he enjoyed doing it. And that's really it. Like, there were several things that terrified me during Halloween as a kid, from Michael Myers to the Ghostface mask to my uncle's Halloween costume for all these years, up until I got old enough to say, "Oh, it's a costume." But here I am now, afraid of really nothing except for Karens, because when it comes to spooky, scary things, I love it. I'm a believer in the paranormal since I was 20 years old, and now 26. And I have a devout belief in the paranormal because of things I've experienced in life. I am not afraid of spirits, though. I have a renowned respect for the spirit world. I am not afraid of Halloween movies. I'm not afraid of mask-wearing serial killers and horror films. I love them. I go and see every one that I can. I most recently went and saw Halloween Ends. I thought it was good, and now people are going to crucify me. I went and saw Scream 5 back in January, and I will go and see Scream 6 in March of next year. I'm currently enjoying the second season of the Chucky TV series. The fact that as you get older, things that frightened you as a child don't frighten you as an adult, and that's the weird thing about it. That I can now go back and I can relive through my memory of what I was afraid of, and tell other people about it, because it's a very relatable thing. It's common, completely common and relatable, and I just thought it would make for a good time to talk about this for another episode of this video series that I do. So it's a bit of a rambling episode, a bit of a change in direction for this video series in terms of the type of episode that I'm doing, but we're 26 episodes into this series, and there's only so many stories in my life, so we'll see how far we can push this series. If we can make it to 50 episodes, I'll be thrilled. Got 49 left to go. But I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.